We finished the Coke run and the results are amazing. Hello and welcome back to another Beaver Brew Day. Time for part 2 of this concoction. This is the Coca-Cola wash that we did, or the cola wash that we did a little while ago. Now I have yet to open this to smell it or taste it. I have to say the smells that came off of this was quite bad in the beginning. So at the start of the ferment there was some pretty foul smells that came off. Either I got used to the smells or the smells have changed over the fermentation, because I didn't smell it after a while when coming into the room. Next up, thanks to everybody who sent me the link for the Russian guy that Build Not Bombs, the channel that did a similar wash to this. Now after watching that video, how can I put it? I was a bit scared, because he described the wash quite vividly, and yeah, I'm pretty scared as I'm standing here to taste what's going on in here. He said grandma's socks and all that other funny stuff, and yeah, if it tastes like it smelled in the beginning, this is going to be a pretty bad taste in your mouth. Time to open up the jar and then quickly test the gravity, because it stopped bubbling about 2 days ago and I have yet to test the gravity. So I'm going to test the gravity quickly and then do a taste test, and doesn't matter what it tastes like, we are still going to distill it. Yeah, let's get into it. Woo! Okay, so from afar it doesn't smell too bad. Well, it just smells like warm Coke at the moment. So either my nose stopped working or I got used to the smell, but it smells like warm Coke. Maybe a slight sour tinge to it. But let's quickly do a hygrometer reading. And the winning number is 1.030. So that means that we went from a, if I can remember correctly, a 1080 or a 1090 to a 1.030. So we have sufficient alcohol in here. Now it's time to get it into the still. My cameraman just informed me that I'm not going to get away with not tasting. So here's to you guys. So the color is like a milky Coca-Cola. Looks like you mixed milk into the Coke. Doesn't taste bad. Doesn't even taste like there's alcohol in it. Just tastes very sweet still, but I think that might be the sweetness that we read on the label. And yeah, it just tastes almost ginger beer like. It has some ginger tinge. So yeah, not bad at all. Now I'm looking forward to distilling this, because I've always wanted to distill ginger beer. Maybe this has a similar flavor. The yeast did form a big enough yeast cake at the bottom, so it means there was quite a bit of activity going on here. Looks like the recipe worked out. Now time to get our elements on, then we're going to cap our still. And the way we're going to do the run is a straight pot still mode. I want to pull as much flavor out of this as possible, because I spoke to a couple of guys on the Reddit forums and they said that they've done Mountain Dew and Dr. Pepper and so on. And if you run it in pot still, you do get a lot of those flavors pulling through. So I'm quite excited to see if those ginger flavors pull through on the Coke. And yeah, that's it. So we're going to run straight pot still. I'm probably going to have a little bit of reflux in the beginning, so I can just get my column to get all balanced, and then dial back on the reflux to the offtake speed where we want it. I'm looking for around about 60 to 70% on takeoff. So yeah, let's get into the distilling part, and I'll see you guys at the end when I do the final smell, sniff and taste of the final product. We finished up the run on our cola and we took off the 4 shots at 80%. We have our 4 shots here. We have our hearts cut in here, these 4 little jars, and then we ended up with a bit of tails there. I did try and compress at the end to see if I can squeeze a little bit more flavor out of it, because when we started this whole thing we had 20 liters of cola. The little sediment and stuff we left at the bottom ended up being about 4 liters. So we only put 16 liters into the still at around about 6, maybe 7%. So I anticipated about 1 liter of hearts. That's what we ended up with, close to 1 liter of hearts. We'll check the exact volumes now. Like I said, 4 shots off at 80. Jar number 1 off at 65, jar number 2 62, then 68. Then I wanted to try, and I started to see some oils and stuff pulling through, so I tried to compress the heads, the tails a bit. So I turned down the power and started taking off nice and really slow, and ended up with a jar at 75%, and then my tails came off at 20%. That's gonna be nowhere near what we're going to use, because that just smells like arse. Quickly, straight off the still, the flavor that came off there was very close to a rum. It had some molasses, bitter smells coming through. None of that ginger that we smelled and tasted in the wash that went in. Let's quickly get all of these bad boys blended up, do a taste test on the flavors, do a nose on the flavors, and then we are going to put it into our jar and we'll see what we're going to age it with. So first up, jar 1. Like I said, very sweet, very caramel, slight hint of the molasses at the back. Doesn't smell anything like I thought it was gonna. Once again, like the Russian video, I'll link it down there and you can see his results. Jar 2, very muted sweet flavors, more like baking sugar with that bitter molasses note in the background. So this is starting to go straight into that rum smell. Very sweet, almost licorice, like a Wilson toffee kind of flavor. So this almost has a peppery kind of smell to it. Very molasses and sweet. And you can start smelling some tails in there, but not too much. So that is exactly on 1 liter. 1 liter at, let's see what the ABV is. Let's just give it a quick stir. While we quickly wait for these flavors just to melt together and all the different alcohol levels to join together, just want to quickly remind everybody of the community still that we are busy building. Please go over to the community page. The next part of the voting process will be up very soon, where we will be deciding on what kind of still we should be making. The options are going to be a pot still, a reflux still, a column still, or a CCVM. If you're not 100% sure what those kind of stills are, please pop a comment down below and I'll do a very quick video explaining the different types of stills, so we can make our decision on what kind of still we will be making. So yeah, the polls will be open up until the end of when we start the build. So if you want to go back and change your votes for what size or whatever, don't worry, you can always go back and change it. Let's quickly check the ABV here. So I'm expecting it to be roughly about 70%. Let's see what we have. So we're sitting on about 68, 69%. So yeah, let's quickly do the calculations. Once again, I'll link the video or link the link for this app down in the description. It helps you to calculate your dilution rates and everything. So we started with a volume of 1 liter. Strength is at 68% and we want to bring it down to 45. Let's do the calculations. So we need to add 530 mils of water. So now that it's diluted, you do get some of those ginger smells coming through. Let's quickly do a taste test. Yeah, it's like a ginger biscuit mixed with Coca-Cola. For some other reason it has caramelly smells and tastes. Okay, so on the taste, it has a lot of ginger. Almost tastes like ginger beer, and it finishes off with that bitter molasses, that sweet caramel, and the taste that lingers and that comes through your nose again is back to the ginger. So I'm very happy with this. I think this will make a good mixer with some ginger ale. So adding it to a ginger ale, like, will pull out those ginger flavors quite nicely, and I would love to see and taste this in maybe a Coke mixer. So now for the aging. So what I decided to do for the aging is I've got some cherry wood. I want to build on these sweet flavors, so I've got some cherry wood that I lightly toasted that I'm going to add. Cherry wood from Bootleggers, and then I love the flavor that this Karee, this medium toast Karee gives to your brews or to your distillate. So what I want to do is I just want to char half of this, and the other half I'm going to leave bare. I'm going to dunk it in there, put a lid on, and leave it for a couple of weeks. There we go. Now, final thoughts on fermenting and distilling cola. Now, first off, just a reminder, we did not use the real McCoy Coca-Cola. We used a knockoff brand here from South Africa. So I would really like to do the experiment now using the real McCoy to see if it does exactly the same thing. Will I do this again? Absolutely, 100%. I love the flavors that came off of this. I think what I want to do is, and maybe help me down in the comments, do a rum wash with molasses, and instead of diluting the molasses with water, maybe use Coca-Cola. So to build on that molasses flavor, maybe the Coke can add some interesting flavors to that. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. And as always, thank you very much for sticking around to the end. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, do all that other fun stuff. It really does help the channel out. And then don't forget to head over to the community page and help us build that community still. If you want your name engraved on it, head over there now. And then lastly and finally, as always, have a lekker day.